YouTube channel, GBN Television Channel 7, 11, and 20, and the loyal listeners of Classic 105.5, 105.9. Good morning to each and every one of you. This morning I have in studio with me Mrs. Ann Cover, and she's representing the Mount Gava After School Program. That's a program that was recently launched and specifically targets students in the south of the island. Good morning, Mrs. Cover.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am good.
Nice.
Thanks.
I like your colors. I like the pink. Yes, I like pink. Pink is one of my favorite colors. Like I mentioned, you're part of the program that runs the Mount Gava After School Program.
Yes.
First of all, tell us what this program is about. How did it come about, specifically the name as well, and the aim of the Mount Gava After School?
Well, the Mount Gava Foundation has been around for a while, but it became defunct, it became dormant, I should say, after a few years. Initially, it's to serve the communities of Montu and the Grand Anse Valley area. 4 years ago, we tried to reestablish the after-school program, and we were ambitious. We wanted to have after-school homework assistance for students in the area Monday to Friday. We thought we'd take Friday as being a fun day. We have since come to senses, and we have to reduce it to just Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. But that's what's happening there.
How did it come about? What's the need that you saw in the area that the association decided to bring back this program?
Well, there's a need because we found a lot of young people just kind of walking the streets, not doing what they should be doing, playing in the road, that kind of thing. And I think there was somebody has identified that they felt that not doing their homework meant that they were not wanting to go to school the next day, and therefore they wanted to, stay home and that kind of thing. So if we helped with the homework, then perhaps they would be more interested in going back to school because they had their homework done.
How are you able to facilitate doing the homework? Do you have tutors, the books?
We have really volunteers, just adults like me that are not necessarily, we do now have some that have been teachers, but we just have adults that could read, could do math, could look up things, and we just assist. We also used, we reached out to TAMCC to have, they have their community service that the students have to do, and we've had students come in to fulfill their community service through the after-school program, and that worked out pretty well as well. We find that if your high school students come to say they're going to help, it doesn't work as well, but with the college students, it works out kind of nicely.
How have you seen this benefited the students?
Well, I think when I first started, there was like a young boy who he didn't know how to spell. You'd ask him how to spell his name, and he got like halfway and then just shrugged his shoulder and said, "I'm dumb," and didn't want to, pursue it. But we found he's no longer coming to the program because he's moved out of the area. But by the time he left last year, he was able to try. He built up a little bit of self-confidence. He was able to spell his name. He's reading. He's, I'm not saying he's a perfect student, but we do see that we're getting some progress. We've seen it in other students as well, that you see, and that kind of helps you. You feel like, you're doing something.
Generally, what's your thoughts, or maybe even the association thoughts, on the need for such a program, not just in the South, but island-wide, to benefit and help our students?
Well, judging from what I'm seeing in the Montu area, I would suspect that most communities could use programs like this. I think there is something that is happening, in St. David's, because I kind of linked up with a lady that was doing something similar in St. David's when we first started. So I do think there is that need. When we first started, we found that helping with homework was difficult in as much as a lot of the students had difficulty reading. So even though a lot of them came, and even though they didn't have homework, they still came because they just needed something to do in the afternoons, after school, no homework, nothing to do. They needed a place to hang out, I guess. They came, and they were disruptive. you tried to assign work, but you didn't recognize that they were not able to read properly. That's why they were having difficulty with the homework. And that's why this year we've made our emphasis on reading. So we don't try to provide. We used to say, bring your books with you so that we can look at your books and find, but that was just tedious and it was just difficult. They would never brought their books and you know, so it was just getting out of hand. But this year we've got it, I think we got it under control. we focusing on reading. So you come, you have homework, you go into the homework room, somebody's in there. One, if depending upon the number of students, we have 1 or 2 volunteers in there helping with the homework, and everybody else is out in the veranda area, out in the covered area with books. We're reading and just learning how to read. Those who don't know how to, those who know, we just practicing, you know, because, you know, the more you read, the better you become.
How long have you revitalized the association?
About 4 years now.
Right. And over the past 3 years, have you had other focus besides
No,
reading?
it was always just really a focus on the homework. And well, the reading became, we didn't, but this year we've decided that, hey, we're just focusing on reading. Homework, yes, we don't want to discourage. If anybody has homework, we bring it, we help you. When you finish, you come out reading. But this is the first time we're growing, we're changing, you know.
What about the encouragement of parents? Do you see that a lot as well?
Well, yes and no. We do have some parents that have become involved, not, you know, to say come in and help with the program like that, but you find the parents come and they tell you what is happening with their children. If like somebody who's having a discipline problem, and she'd come and tell you, oh, you know, I'm having this problem and they're calling me to school. And so you do have a relationship with some parents. Some parents, I have no idea who they are and what they look like. We initially tried to always get parent information, phone numbers and stuff like that. I have for most of them, but a lot of them you don't really hear from the parents.
Wow.
Yeah, one of my concerns for the area is I see too many of the young children not attending school. And you cannot perform, you cannot, you know, learn if you don't go. Because even they told us that maybe with the little boy I told you about initially, they said that one of the problems was that he wasn't attending school on a regular basis. And I think our involvement perhaps caused him to, we were in contact with his parents, with his mom, so that probably promoted his attending more frequently. I'm hoping he's still doing so because, like I said, he's moved out of the area.
What do you think is contributing to not attending school?
I hate to hazard a guess, but personally I feel that parents are responsible for getting their children to school.
I agree.
If you have a child and it's natural for a child to wake up in the morning and say, I don't want to go. I had a daughter who every single morning said, I don't want to go to school. She loves school, but every morning she had that mantra, I don't feel like going to school. Do I have to go to school today? But she went to school. At one point, I thought she wasn't going to come out of school. You know? But parents have to insist. You know, parents have to be the force. They have to. If you don't show interest in school, then it means it's not important, and therefore, why should I go? You know, if you don't show interest in my homework, it's not important. Why should I do it?
True. Do you have a background in education?
No, I don't. My mom was a teacher. That's about it. And I considered it when I was, thinking of careers. And I sat in my math class one day because I would love to have been a math teacher, I think. And I said, never. My math class, the students were too terrible. You know? It was just like, nobody likes to do math. And so I didn't. I been in training, even as an engineer, training at one of my jobs, but no.
So what promoted you to get involved in this program?
Well, when I retired, I got involved with youth ministry. And I'm from the Bahamas.
Right.
And when I first started, the area I worked in with the youth ministry was in a small community similar to Montu. It's not as big as Montu, I suppose, but my office was right in the schoolyard almost. The church and school were in the same vicinity. And after school, I'd have the kids come in and help them with the homework and that. So it was never the numbers. That's why I think I was kind of surprised when I thought, when we started, we only had a few volunteers, but I figured, okay, we can handle this with, homework. But the numbers were just overwhelming. But that kind of prompted me to continue. And I've been working in youth ministry, and here in Grenada, it hasn't been as easy to do it in the same form, but this gave me an outlet.
How many children on an average do you have coming every day?
We run from like 25 to 30. Sometimes it's a lot more than 30, and those are very difficult days. Those days that are less than 25 are easier days, because the volume, the discipline, it all, is proportional. It's amazing how much different it is if you have 30 students and if you have 28. Two differences, just amazing.
Where is the center located specifically, and how can children become part of it?
Well, it's in Montu, and I'm not sure how to explain that to you. We're in Montu, but most of them know where it is.
It's anyway, a community center?
It's a community center in Montu. It's not the one down by the pasture, but it's the one up by the where the mechanic shop is, and by the Seventh-day Adventist Church, in that area there.
On the concrete road?
Yes.
Okay, I could picture it.
Okay.
And how can the children be a part of it?
Well, they can come in, but we would like for them to bring a parent. We would like a parent to come in to register the child.
What about funding? How are you funded, and do children have to pay maybe a little stipend or so?
No, the children don't have to do anything. We funded by God's grace. We just have been blessed that persons have just volunteered and supplied for us whatever needs that we've had. Like, we try to give a little snack at the end of the day, and we've been really, really blessed with people who have supported us in that and contribute. Every Tuesdays and Thursdays we have Island Catering caters for the 30 students. We tell them 30 students because that's about average, and they cater for that. If it's more than that, we just stretch it,
Right.
And on Wednesdays, Sweet Traditions in town here, they send us pizzas, and so that helps with that. Supplies, we've just been getting them. We have some volunteers that bring every time they get books and stuff, and we've been asking people who hear about the program, they send us books, supplies, paper, pencils, crayons, all that kind of stuff. So we're really, really, God has been good to us.
Right. Let's take a quick break and come back inside. This is To The Point on Classic and the GBN. Keep it locked. We'll be right back.
The race to the crown continues. Carnival Friday. Fantastic Friday. The Playway International Soca Monarch 2020. The Crown Grand Finals. Fantastic Friday. The best in power and groovy soca do battle against reigning power and groovy monarchs.
I am a George, the Water Lord, the commander of the Savannah. Hey yo, this is Swappy. Big up to all my sisters and brethren.
For their chance at the crown. In the groovy category, Aston Isaac, Blacks, College Boy Jesse, Ding Dong, Isaiah, Kerry John, Leadpipe, Pretty, Razor, Rome, Skinny Banton, and the reigning groovy monarch, Swappy. Fantastic Friday.
GBN's coverage of the International Soca Monarch 2020 is made possible by the National Lotteries Authority, Netherlands Insurance, Megaforce Promotions, Blue Bubbles PA Rental and Event Supplies, Clark's Court Rounds, Fruta, distributed by George F. Huggins, Communal Cooperative Credit Union. Quick and Easy, Royal and Horizon paper towels and napkins. Qualitech Laboratory, Bernie's Ice Cream, Innovations Grenada Limited, Cashways, Duty Free Caribbean, Grenville Credit Union, The Computer Store Grenada, and Viking Engineering.
Kids, speak up against abuse.
It is not acceptable for you to be abused in any manner.
From your parents, family members, or peers.
You
have the right
To refuse
the abuse.
report it to anyone.
Guidance counselors,
doctors, teachers, or even your neighbors.
anyone who can help
Speak up.
against abuse. Speak up. Speak up.
Speak up.
Speak up.
Break the silence. Child abuse is one secret you should never keep.
For so many years, these waters have had no fish. We kill them off with our careless actions, dumping garbage and toxic industrial waste in oceans and rivers, indiscriminate mooring of yachts, uncontrolled sand mining, deforestation, causing soil erosion and siltation of rivers and seas. We must care for our environment and stop our negative actions. Protected areas are special areas of water and land, which are managed so that their features can be sustained. They are recognized for their natural and cultural importance and their supply of raw materials. Marine protected areas include marine management areas and reserves, places with coral reefs, seagrasses, mangroves, or lagoons. You depend on nature for survival and for the quality of your life. Can nature depend on you?
Welcome back to The Point. We are speaking about the Mongava After School Program. We have one of the members who works along with the program, Mrs. Ann Kova. Mrs. Kova, what would you say is the greatest need of the program?
Right now, if we could get more volunteers, it'll help greatly. The program with the reading, we have students that we need to do one-on-one. If you have a child that's in grade 3 or 4 who is really not is still at grade 1 level reading, he is too big to work with that teacher, with the ones who are at that level.
Right.
You know, you don't want to embarrass a child. So if you could do a one-on-one. So we need additional volunteers. That's the biggest need, more volunteers, as many as we can get. We never could have too many volunteers.
Someone asks for contact information that they can, pay a visit and share their volunteerism.
They can, show up at Mongava any Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday from 4 o'clock. We're there. I'm there from about 3:30. You can contact me. I don't know if I want to give my phone number over the radio like that, but they could contact the church office, the Blessed Sacrament Parish office, and they'll get in touch with me.
Okay. I had a question on the YouTube channel. Where did it go? There we go. Do you have a spiritual aspect to your program? From experience, I believe when people have a relationship with God, it is easier for them to do what is correct for themselves and their children.
Yes, that's true. We do. We start off our program every afternoon with prayer. We start with prayer. We've actually started doing the pledge and the national anthem as well. So we kind of formalize everything. And we do, before we have the snack, we say prayers again. We do take opportunities. Like I said, we don't always, like I told you in the break, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So we try to break it up a bit. We don't focus solely on reading every single day.
Right.
We twist it a bit. It's still part of the reading, but we try to put a twist on it. So yes, we do try to instill some values. We close each afternoon before the snack comes out when they finish reading to the students. So sometimes it might be a book that will say something that is a spiritual or religious type story, but it's values that we're trying to implement.
About the children who could not read, were they not going to school or were they slipping through the cracks of the education system based on home and parental difficulties?
I'm not sure I am able to say that, but I'm guessing because I've seen one or two of them on the streets during school times that they've missed school, and you could only miss school if your parent is slipping. For them to get up to a grade level that is, I think they're falling through the cracks because the school system has allowed them to reach grade 4 without being able to read at grade 1 level.
Right. Is there an opportunity, or no, let me ask this question before I forgot. Any plans to have sessions in the summertime?
Retired. Not really. One time we were thinking of doing like a summer program, a summer camp, and it wouldn't be necessarily the same reading program. We haven't discussed it for this year yet, but I think at the end of the school year, all the volunteers are really beat unless we get somebody else to come in and help us.
Right.
It's not. I don't see it happening.
Let's go to the phones. Good morning. Okay, that person is gone. How do you think we can spread this program? Because I know this is not just an issue of not being able to read or need help with homework. This is not just in the South. This is island-wide. Do you think we can spread it to different parishes, different communities?
Find interested persons who were willing to spend some time, to devote time to the children. You can start it. I don't think we have to start it with a whole 30 children.
Right.
You can start with a small community of children. Anybody. I don't think one person can do it with more than 3 children, 5 max. I think that'll drive you crazy. But one person can help 2-3 children easily. And if you can get a group of persons together, you can easily get something going.
What's the feedback from the kids themselves? I mean, I know you've probably seen the improvements in doing the homework and being able to read, but what have their vocals or their vocal approval been?
You don't get that so much as you find that every time you're passing through, Miss Class today, so they're anxious for it. So, and rain or shine, they're there, because yesterday it rained and I thought, okay, we're not going to have too many kids today, but I was wrong.
And they came out in droves.
Exactly. Wearing raincoat with umbrellas, braving the weather.
Let's go to the phone lines. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, somebody play. Let's hope maybe it's one of the children.
I hope it's not.
In terms of expanding, because I know you say, I see your face, volunteerism, and so you depend on it greatly, but there would be other needs of other children, maybe the same batch of children that you already have. Any plans to I shouldn't say expand, probably too big.
Yes,
but
very
maybe
big.
add on bit by bit on other things, maybe maths, English.
I'd love to see that happen, but I don't see it happening right now. We don't have the wherewithal to do that. We figured at the time when we said, okay, we're focusing on reading, that if we got this down pat, then that will help the kids a lot in all the other areas, because word problems in math would make more sense if you were able to read them and understand them. The mechanics of the math will come, that's different, but understanding what you're reading for your social studies, the same, everything we relies a lot heavily on reading, your ability to read and understand what you've read.
True. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, my dear lady. Volunteer lady. Good morning. No, children, in this time get the opportunity, and they're very happy children in this time than in our time. In our time, parents don't have no money and things to really maintain children in the school. And it's one book alone, one book passed on to 5-6 children in the same home. But children getting help from government these days, assistance from government. So I know why children lapse and they have the opportunity better in our time. you know. But just, I mean, don't want to go to school, they hate school. I have some problem in the school. I teacher in something in the school, they don't want to go back in the school, and some reason why, you know. But the country is very happy in this modern time to want to learn and be better than what it is today. Now, the parents might be home in school, and the parents can be for themselves too. The parents not temperature to change, not in the home. So that's a big problem again. If the parents go to read and interested in the children, they would take part in the children's education. The neglect them, so the father knows are wrong. The mother stressed out, they have them to mind, and she is walking, and all them things will make a problem. They don't care about the children at all. The children live any kind of how they call that. It's all about idling, about driving, they go to school, they don't care about that, you know. But it's a good opportunity children getting this time now than in the past. Government taking a great help in the children and the parents. So I know why children hate school in this modern time. One, learn, because, I mean, children have a brains in the head, which could help them. They might not be bright and brilliant. I mean, some others come out with brilliant children come to bright home. Because the parents help the children home to read and make sure they do their schoolwork and everyday homework and then buy books for the children. Some parents didn't buy books for the children. They buy books on much less. They spend the money on material things, and they forget the children. They care about, you know. So all them things that the parents children maybe they're in school in any case now. But it's a great opportunity children getting this time, this modern time. Go to and learn and be better than all you. If your parents born poor, don't remain poor. Get an education. It's important, and you achieve anything in life. The parents might not learn and how to live for them, but they have a head, they have an education in the head.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much.
Yes. I guess I tend to agree that on the aspect that parental involvement and parental interest in education is a key to a child's education. I've always maintained that if a parent is interested in the child's education, the child will have some interest in it himself.
Is there an opportunity for parents to also learn to read?
You know, that is an offshoot that has happened from our program. There is a young lady that has started adult literacy program at the center in the evenings. I'm not certain exactly which days she's doing it, but I think there's 3 days for her as well. I think it's Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I'm not absolutely certain, but we could find that information out.
No problem. Good morning.
Hi there, Citizen Wells. Good morning, and good morning to your guest. Good morning to your guest. Listen, I laud and applaud that woman on this effort. I think it's a marvelous one. Congratulations, my dear lady, whoever you... Well, you say you're not Grenadian, are you?
No, I'm not.
Oh, but you're Caribbean, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Oh, interesting. I like the way you talk.
I'm Grenadian right now.
Listen, very, very, very good. And I wish that I, in some way, could have helped. Now, unfortunately, or fortunately, I say that with a clear intent, I have lost my sight, my physical sight. But I learned prior to that a couple of things about literacy, that capacity to read, which further develops one's capacity to speak properly and with confidence. I can contribute. I wish I could have helped. If I weren't living that far, I would volunteer. But anyway, take this number. And if you reckon that one day I may be of some assistance to the young ones of this here country, so that we can further develop our capacity to speak intelligently and to say exactly what we want to say, with all confidence, contact me, 231 John. And I'll be grateful to assist, provided that some sort of transportation at any moment may be granted to me so that I can make myself present. Thank you very much. Do have a nice day, Will. Yes, did I say 231 John? Yes, that's right.
You did.
Will you?
231 John.
Yes, thank you, Citizen Rulo. I'm taking it down to hand it to her to make sure she has it. Yes, he is visually impaired and he's willing to lend his assistance, and I think that's the level of thinking that we need to get to volunteer and give back.
And we can use that kind of help because there are days that you want to have something different. We have somebody that could come in and speak to the kids and share something with them. Right. And that has its value.
I agree. One of the comments on the YouTube channel suggests English, especially grammar, is an absolute necessity, as even some teachers do not know or use proper grammar. Is grammar necessary in your opinion?
Definitely in my opinion, but then, you have, for me personally, I have some students come up to me and say something, and I would have to have them say it again, and I have them repeat it until they say it in a way that is, I could understand.
Right.
Don't tell me that day. You have to say what you mean. And yes, I'm not saying we hit our dialect, but you must be able to communicate
properly. Agreed. Let's take another quick break and come back inside. This is To The Point. We're going to be right back.
Hey, you! Who are you? Are you bold, vibrant, full of color and life, with energy waiting to just burst out? That youthful vibe. Or are you a classic? You love the old school, but you still know how to keep it relevant. Kinda like a retro mix. Nah? Hey, maybe you're just refined. A fine, classy, chic piece of refined elegance. No matter who you are, Sissons has that outside color to match that inside feeling. Visit any of our retail or distribution outlets and ask for our tropical modern color collection. Sissons, good looks that lasts.
Zika, chikungunya, and dengue are all spread by the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Protect yourself. Wear clothes that fully cover your body. Use insect repellent spray or ban. Some of them are really cool. Cover empty soda bottles and dispose of them properly. Juice boxes, wrappers, and soda cans too. And cover any container that can collect water. Remember, mosquitoes like to hide in dark, messy places, so keep your rooms tidy as well. Clean up, prevent, protect.
Five years today, still no water. Most of the rivers dried up when the forests disappeared, and those that are left are too polluted. This is my future. This is what caused it. Deforestation, indiscriminate wildlife hunting, soil erosion, removal of indigenous plants. We must care for our environment and stop negative actions. Protected areas are special areas of water and land, which are managed so that their features can be sustained. They are recognized for their natural and cultural importance and their supply of raw materials. Forest reserves provide a sanctuary for plants and animals to flourish. The forests are part of the water cycle and provide a source of clean, healthy water. They help conserve a valuable resource for future generations. You depend on nature for the quality of your life. Can nature depend on you?
Welcome back to The Point, speaking with Ann Kova. She's representing the Mount Gava Aftercare School program that is currently underway and helping the children in the south of the island. There's a question on WhatsApp that asks, where is the place located? It's in Montu, the community center in the vicinity of the SDA Church. It's probably closer to the end from the Sugar Mill section. So if you pass Sugar Mill, it's just above the hill. As you break the hill and you go a little bit, you would see the community center, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, you have to turn off the main road. That goes,
Right. We have another caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. I'm not clear as to what you're speaking, but I spoke, but I sort of interpret what you're speaking about. Now, as far as I'm concerned, you have at least a few types of English. We have internationally accepted language, so you speak in a way that the world could understand you. I think you call that IAE. You have colloquial English, what the people in your environment might be able to understand. But when you're speaking to certain breed of people or certain standard of people, you're supposed to speak IAE English. Not every one of us, because I don't know if I'm speaking IAE English now, not every one of us could speak it. It depends on the environment in which you live. The best thing for anyone is to able to communicate. And that's what English is, to communicate. When I say English or Spanish or French, it's communication. Once the people in your environment understand it, but as I already said, you have IAE English. Now, I'm not saying that you have to perpetuate the colloquial English, because colloquial English is good too. I want to understand, if I go in a particular environment when they speak it, that I understand it. But you have to know when to shift your emphasis if you are somewhat English-minded. That's my contribution.
Thank you, Gola. Okay. Any comments, replies?
No, well, yeah, I think everybody needs to be able to speak to their friends in their own kind of language, you know. But you also have to be able to speak to somebody else. So, yeah.
As he calls it. When it comes to the future of the program, where do you hope it can go?
Well, I'd like to see it where we have it on every day of the week, you know, and that we are really supplying the kids with all the facilities that they need to be able to do their homework, that they will be able, like for projects, we find the kids come in for projects. We have a bit of a computer lab, but we don't have enough volunteers because it's not safe to let children loose in a computer room without adult supervision.
Right.
So if I don't have enough volunteers for somebody to be in the computer lab, nobody goes in. So, you know, I'd like to see a stage where they can come in and do research, you know, for that. That we would be able to supply the needs of the young people in the community, that they would feel like a place where they could feel comfortable to come and do what they need to do.
Agreed. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Morning, go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning. I just want to applaud this woman. She's doing a very good job.
My own, I have a whole team of volunteers, so it's the volunteers. We have a really great team that was working with the kids this year.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to find out, the people who will be volunteering, is there, do they have to be qualified or have any subjects or so to do that?
All you need to be able to do is to have a heart for the children, ready to listen to them read, know whether they're reading, and that's all we need. Somebody that wants to listen to them and have a heart for them, that they would, you know, just listen to them read. Help them with the homework where they can. Because even if you can't help with homework, you can help. If you can read, you can help them by listening to them read.
All right. The people who want to be able to supply supplies or donate supplies, what sort of supplies does the center need?
Well, we use this year. It's kind of, we've backed off because we're not doing as much of the other work. We focusing on reading. Supplies that we mostly using would be books that the children would be interested in reading. I have a lot of books, but some of them are so old and outdated that they don't really spark the interest of the children. So, you know, getting them to be interested in reading it is a bit of a challenge right now. But that is our main focus. We have pencils, but I have pencils, we have that, so I'm not going to say yes, but we can always use, and because we give them away at the, children it's amazing how many pencils a child can go through.
True. True.
Pens, paper,
All right. What are the age groups of the children?
We're catering mainly to the primary school children. So we don't want to have a babysitting program. We don't want, send your children who are not going to school and have somebody come and babysit. That's not what we want. We've had that happen, that we have really not wanting that. So children from grade 1 to grade 6, once they do the exam and pass, they become different people. Once they hit high school, they're adults in their mind.
But could you provide service to secondary school
Yes, we
students
can.
as well?
We can. We can provide, especially in the homework facility.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the area that needs most help, that you see the students coming with for more help or a subject?
For
the children that participate with the homework,
the math, and a lot of them is like they do the social studies homework as well. But that is perhaps because they're not reading. Sometimes I'm not sure whether it's they don't have the books, and that is also a problem. Sometimes we find, like I told you in the beginning, we've really been blessed with some people who said, okay, they hear about the program and they cannot come in physically to help, but they come in and like somebody would perhaps support like lunch program and stuff like that. So even if we could get something like for books for some of the kids that don't have books, that kind of thing perhaps is what we might have to start looking at as well.
A question on the Facebook: is there any type of screening process for the volunteers? To have any volunteer in the environment in which I operate, even volunteers have to be screened. Is there screening for the volunteers?
Unfortunately, no. We really do not have any
have the capacity to
right.
do so. All right.
We really just trust in God.
Trust, I agree.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. I want to make a contribution.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. According to you all, I forget to say that language is somewhat automatic. That doesn't mean to say you have to know. I want to see what word should I use. Should I use a noun? Should I use a verb? Should I use an adjective? So then language is automatic. So I don't think you have to know what type of part of speech you're using. You just have to speak, and speak perhaps fluently, automatically. That's what I have to say. That's my other contribution.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
The question just flew out of my head. Oh, there was a question on the YouTube channel. Are you familiar with the Royal Readers series? Would you consider them outdated?
I haven't seen one of those in a while, and so I remember them, but if you have them to volunteer to send us, I will definitely take them, because like I probably didn't say this, but at the end of the day, like after just before we do our break for the snack, before we end, we kind of gather everybody back together and read a story, so that they not just them reading, but we read to them as well, so that they listen to a story. And sometimes we give some of the students an opportunity to read to everybody else. So that kind of story, from what I remember of the Royal Readers, would be kind of nice stories to perhaps read at that kind of time.
Yeah, I don't think they're outdated.
I don't think so. They're kind of values that never get out of style.
I agree. Back to the phone line. Good morning.
It doesn't Welch, with your permission?
Sure, go ahead.
Read the Royal Readers. I've been reading the Royal Reader recently because you get them online too, there's some stories they're designed to keep you colonialist, but they're very, very educative. As per your last caller, I think it is ridiculous for an adult in this here country today in 2020 to be telling the world, because when we speak on radio, we speak to the world, that language is automatic. Oh no, languages have to be studied. Any part of the world you go, there is a language, official language, and it has to be studied. It does not come automatic. The automatic reflection that he talks about is how some of us talk here, including him. Have a nice day, thank you.
Thank you, Citizen Rolo. Thank you, Citizen Rolo. Have a good day. There's a question on the Facebook that asks, and I guess it's a kind of follow-up to one that was asked previously about a summer program where the children are home without anything to do. If it's something you can maybe consider more.
We can consider, but we really, really would need help. One of the things is that a lot of the volunteers go on vacation as well, and it depends upon, because sometimes we're short. That's the time when I'm not on the island for a week or two, or maybe even more. So we have to work it out. But it's something that I really would consider. I don't have a problem with it, but it is just finding the help.
Volunteers, right?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, Blossom, and good morning to you guys. Sometimes I do believe that it's a parent job to make our children do their homework. But do you think sometimes you're really, giving the parents like a free pass, because you're there doing what the parents should be doing? And how do the parents really take over what you're doing? Do they come around and do they make sure, do they help? What is really going on with the parents, on that front?
Thank you, Gola.
I'm not. Yes, I suppose in a way we're giving parents a free pass, but I think the object is to really help the children. I think somebody has to take up the mantle to assist them. If a parent isn't doing the job, we as a community have to take up the slack. We do have parents that do come around, but not on a regular basis. I don't know whether I can answer that, whether what parents are at fault with, but I think we still have a responsibility to help the children. I think it takes a community to.
And there are different reasons why a parent may not be able to assist.
Yes.
Some maybe just can't because they don't know the work. Others, according to jobs, they're at work or just getting home from work. There are different reasons. Well, there are some that, quote unquote, may leave the slack. But there are other reasons why parents may not be able to assist. Let's take this other phone call. Good morning.
A pleasant good morning to you. I do not know, how this program started, but I've been listening, and I want to make a couple of comments. Regardless of whether a parent is a scavenger or field worker or whatever, it is the parent's duty. It is the parent's duty to test the child. You may not know much. Look at the child's exercise book, see what he does. That parent may know when he gets something wrong and when he gets something right. And the parents' duty then, the parents, first of all, are the first teachers at home. And as the child goes along, you have to make sure that the child is learning something. There are ways in which that parent can do that. If he is not satisfied, doesn't know, he or she, they don't know really what's going on, take time out, visit the school, see the teacher, and find out what is really going on, get an idea, and then keep checking the children. The parent, again, might be in a position where he doesn't know much to teach the children. What the parent has to do is to seek help, and by way of, lessons, etc., and as a result, monitor that, because regardless of how dumb you may be, you would know really what kind of progress the child is making. And today, I don't know where that came from. Everything is left to the teacher, and the teacher must do this and the teacher must do that. Utter nonsense. And as a result of that, this is how parents would be able to know the children's progress and keep in line. Somebody was talking about language a while ago. Citizen Rulo made a comment. I want to make this comment. Language is a science. Language is a science, and that science should be able to teach you to read and write correctly with regards to English. So people must know what they say and not just come up and say any kind of nonsense. And as a result of that, as it was pointed out, people far and wide are listening to us. And we should not allow ourselves to be judged as dummies and fools and to be laughed at outside it. Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Yes. I don't know there's much to say to that.
I agree. There's a comment on YouTube. I suggest if you would consider a summer program, a stipend should be requested from the parents. Some of them would use it to get to pass on their responsibility to you. It can spoil them, giving them a free summer program. Something to consider.
I suppose.
Let's take the final phone call of the program. Good morning. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Ms. Blossom.
Morning.
Ms. Blossom, if your grammar is good, but your pronunciation is sort of cultural, according to how you grew up in the culture, you pronounce the suit. How do you go about fixing that if it is claimed that your pronunciation is bad? How are you fixing that? Thank you.
You learn the pronunciation? Learn the pronunciation. There's a feature on YouTube I usually use. If I don't know somebody's name or a word, I would type it into YouTube, and there's a voice that comes up and tells me how to pronounce it properly. That helps. I don't know what else to tell you.
I think it's your accent kind of forms how you say words too, so that it doesn't know right and wrong. Yeah, yes.
A question on the Facebook. In New York, most children are doing after school because the time the parents get home is usually late, and school gives lots of homework, and that child will be up later at night doing that homework. And also some of the program, the parents have to pay for that service. Yeah. And
I don't think we can expect to ask for parents to pay for the service that we're giving in Montu. I mean, the community is, the children that we're serving are not from parents who could afford to pay. I think that's just, I would never work on a program like that, personally. But
understood. We have a little time, so I'll take this call. Good morning. Okay, somebody wants to play apparently. There's a comment on WhatsApp. I feel we should seriously establish our Caribbean language and promote it in schools. Our own translation, dictionary, and teachers should be formally presented to the world. It's very good when our people can't communicate on our own. Students should be studying that in school. Our own dialect, I guess, as much. As we wrap up this morning, Mrs. Kova, just remind us of the details, how people can volunteer, how people in the neighborhood can get their students, or can somebody outside of Montu, Grand Anse Valley bring their children, if I can, maybe from St. Paul's, bring their child?
We would not discriminate against that. We would not. We're operating in the after-school program 3 days out of the week. Did I say 3? Yeah.
Yes, 3. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Yes. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
What time?
We start at 4 and we run till about 6.
Okay.
I'm there from before that so that we try to start exactly at 4. And we try to be finished by 6 so that I could drive home without driving in the dark.
Understood.
We're open to everybody. We rarely don't discriminate. We don't ask too many questions as to why you want to come to the program. If you have homework to do, we have a problem in as much as we do have some students that come late, and some of them come at a time that I'm beginning to wonder whether they just come for the snack. But in a case like that, do I not give? Just because, perhaps the child is hungry. So,
Yeah.
But the aim is to assist students with their homework. So we do that. If the child does not have homework, we try to assist them with their reading to help them to be better readers. And any other, just to be,
students.
Exactly.
And volunteers, how can we volunteer?
Volunteers are always, we don't, like someone asked whether we have a screening process. No, we are not equipped to do that yet, but we don't want any pedophiles in the but we just have persons that are willing to sit down and listen to children. We, in a setting where, I don't see anything like that happening, except that it happens outside and if a child develops some relationship. But the idea is just to assist the students.
And just show up at the center.
At the center. I've come to volunteer. I would say thank you very much. Thank you.
Good. And thank you, Mrs. Kova, for the work that you and the team are doing.
Thank you. I really appreciate the team. They're a fantastic team. Really fantastic team. Mainly retired persons in the community. A lot of them live here and there.
Right.
But a lot of them are just here, retired.
Nice. Well, thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. That's the end of the discussion this morning, speaking with Ann Kova of the Mount Garva After School Program located in Montu, and they assist students with their homework, and this year they're focusing on getting them to be better readers. That's the end of my time with you here on Classic and GBN. I'll be back with you tomorrow, God willing. Until then, have a safe and productive Thursday. Brenda is up next with Mid-Morning Buzz. Stick and stay with Classic 105.5, 105.9, GBN channel 7, 11 and 20. Have a good one.